Hey, boys and girls, this is 10.1 continued. So yesterday we were talking about sample spaces and outcomes, and we're just going to continue with those same things today, but we're going to extend them a little bit. So I just have these questions from an extra practice worksheet, so we're just going to kind of go through them, and and then you'll try some on your own. All right. So the first question says, a letter is selected from the letters in the word accommodation. List all the possible outcomes. So list all the possible types of outcomes. So there's a few different types of outcomes we can get here. We can, if we chose one at random, we can get an A, we can get a C, we can get an O, we can get an M, we could get a D, we can get a T, we can get an I, or an N. So those are the different types of outcomes. Now just keep in mind, it's different than the number of outcomes. So if I said, how many outcomes are there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 outcomes because, again, I could choose this C or I could choose that C. So there's two different options in terms of choosing a C. But for this question, it says, what are the types of outcomes? These are the types of outcomes that I would get. For number 2, 12 number cards are placed face down. One card is randomly drawn. List all the outcomes in the sample space. So remember from yesterday, the sample space is a collection of all the outcomes. So the sample space here is just all these numbers from 10 to 21. So these are all the outcomes. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Now, if you draw numbers with 1 as the first digit, what are the possible outcomes? Well, the possible outcomes are any numbers from up here that have 1 as the first digit. So here they are. What are the possible outcomes? We can get 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Those are all the possible outcomes for drawing a number with 1 as the first digit. For C, it says if A is the event, the selected card is less than 16, what are all the favorable outcomes for event A? So the favorable outcomes for event A are choosing a card that's less than 16. So the ones that satisfy that are these numbers from 10 to 15. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All these numbers here are favorable to event A. Event B is the event that the selected card is a prime number. What are all the favorable outcomes to event B? So event B is choosing a prime number. So in this list here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 prime numbers. So what are all the outcomes favorable to event B? That's going to be 11, 13, 17, and 19. Next one, it says you select a name at random from the list below. So W is the event for A. W is the event that the selected name has at least 2 vowels. All right, so list the outcomes that are favorable to event W. So let's look at each one of these. Aaron. Aaron has 2 vowels in it. It has at least 2 vowels, right? It's got an A, an O, and it's got another A. Bruce has at least 2 vowels. Elsie has at least 2 vowels. Fred does not. Fred has just 1 vowel, so we'll skip that one. Daniel has at least 2 vowels, as does Helen. Now, I guess it doesn't specify. Can it be 2? Does it have to be 2 different, or can it be 2 the same? But I'm just going to go with that. It's okay that there's 2 E's, but there's 2 vowels in there. They're not different vowels. Charlene works here, Charlene, and George as well. So these are all the names that are favorable, the outcomes that are favorable to event W, and that's the event of picking a number that has a W in it. No, I'm sorry, that has at least 2 vowels in it. So for B, X is the event that the selected name has 5 letters in it. So list the outcomes that are favorable to event X. So we just have to look through this list and find names that have 5 letters in them. So we have Aaron, Bruce, Elsie, no, Helen, and I think that's it. These are the outcomes favorable to event X. Down here for Y, it says, Y is the event the selected name contains the letter D. What are the outcomes favorable to event Y? So if I look through here, I have Fred has a D, Daniel has a D, and that's it. So there's only 2 outcomes, and those outcomes are Fred and Daniel for event Y. For number 4, it says a student is selected at random from the tables below. C is the event that the selected student does not wear glasses. List the outcomes favorable to event C. So right now for event C, we're looking for anyone that does not wear glasses. So here's a column that says, wear glasses? Yes or no? So we're looking for anyone with a no that does not wear glasses. So we have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I'm going to write these, I'm going to abbreviate these names. So we have some of them anyway. So we have Irene, because it says list the outcomes. So we have Irene, I'm going to put Kat for Catherine. I'm going to put Law for Lawrence. I'll put Marcia for Marcia. And then we have Pam and Stefano. So these all names are people that don't wear glasses. So these are outcomes favorable to event C. Event D is the event that the selected student's favorite sport is swimming. So we're looking for students whose favorite sport is swimming, and it looks like we have one here, and one here. So there's only 3 favorable outcomes for that, and if we list them, that's going to be Catherine. So again, I'll put Kat, I'll put Nathan, and Richie. All right. And then for C, it says E is the event that the selected student does not wear glasses and whose favorite sport is not swimming. How many outcomes are favorable to event E? So let's erase this so we can have a clear board here. Okay, so let's take this in 2 steps. So the first one says, E is the event that the selected student does not wear glasses. All right, so doesn't wear glasses. So we're looking for students that do not wear glasses. So Irene works, Jackie does not work. So let's, so Irene works. Let's do this, highlighter. So Irene works, Catherine works, Lawrence, Marcia, Pam, and Stefano. So all these are people that do not wear glasses. Okay, so E is the event that the selected student does not wear glasses and whose favorite sport is not swimming. So now we have to look at all these people here and find anyone whose favorite, we're looking for people whose favorite sport is not swimming because we're going to get rid of them because they don't satisfy the requirements. So let's get rid of, so here, Catherine satisfies the first one, but she doesn't satisfy the second one. So she isn't involved there. And then nobody else. All right. So look, all these people here, Irene, Lawrence, Marcia, Pam, and Stefano, satisfy both of these requirements for event E. And that is that the selected student does not wear glasses. So Irene, Lawrence, Marcia, Pam, and Stefano do not wear glasses. And whose favorite sport is not swimming. And all those 5 people, their favorite sport is not swimming. Okay, now, as you can see, for every other question, I've listed all the names. But for this one, just keep in mind, it says how many outcomes are favorable. It doesn't want to know what the outcomes are. It just wants to know how many of them are favorable. So we know that Irene satisfied everything. Lawrence, Marcia, Pam, and Stefano. So that's 5 people. So there are 5 outcomes favorable to event E. All right. And of course, obviously, everyone who I didn't highlight here, they don't satisfy it at all. I mean, just from the first requirement, because all those people wear glasses. All right. So last two. You toss 3 coins and record the outcomes. One possible outcome is HHT. HHT means heads appears first, followed by tails, and lastly tails. No, I'm sorry. HHT means heads appear first, followed by heads, and lastly tails. List all the possible outcomes. So we have to actually list these here. So the first possible outcome is the one they give us. They give us heads, heads, tails. So that has 1 tail and 2 heads. So let's keep in that same thing here. So another option with 2 heads and 1 tail would be heads, tails, heads. And then another option would be tails, heads, heads. So in this case, now we've covered everything with 1 T. All right, we have the T coming first, second, and third. Now let's do 2 T's. So let's go heads, tails, tails. We can do tails, heads, tails. And we can do heads, tails, tails. So we have all the options for having 1 T, for having 2 T's. So now the option for having no T's would just be HHH. And then just like I can have one outcome that's HHH, I can have one outcome that's TTT. So here are all the possible outcomes. All right, so we listed all the possible outcomes of the sample space. All right, and there they are. All right, last one. The numeric tiles 3, 4, 7, 7 are placed face down. You pick 4 tiles to form a 4-digit number. G is the event of forming a 4-digit number greater than 4,000. How many outcomes are favorable to event G? All right, so let's do this. Let's first take, we have to use these numbers to form 4-digit numbers. So here we go. So let's do this. So we have 3, 4, 7, 7. That's one option. Okay. So another option would be, let's go here. Let's do 3, 7, 4, 7. Let's do let's keep 3s in the beginning at first. So let's do another option with 3. So I could do 3, 7, 7, 4. And there's no other option that I can have with having 3 first. All right. So let's do all the options with 4 first. So I can have 4, 3, 7, 7. I can have 4, 7, 7, 3. Or I can have 4, 7, 3, 7. All right. So let's look at the options with 7 first. So I can have 7, 7, 4, 3. I can have 7, 7, 3, 4. I can have 7, 4, 3, 7. That wasn't a 7. Hold on. I can have 7, 4, 3, 7. I can have 7, 3, 4, 7. I can have, let's see, let's think for a second here. I'm going to pause this to make sure, see if I missed something. Also do 7, 4, 7, 3. I could do 7, 3, 4, 7. A copy. So 7, 3, 4, 7. I already had that one. 7. Nope. I got 7, 3, 7, 4. And that's it. Okay. I think that's it. Extra points, anyone who find me another one, but that's it. I think that's it. So now it says event G is the event of forming a 4-digit number that's greater than 4,000. So if you look here, all these numbers here are not greater than 4,000. Okay? So now all of these ones are. So it says how many outcomes are favorable to event G? Well, that's 3, 6, 9. So there's 9 outcomes that are favorable. So guys, the questions you guys are going to see tonight for homework, very similar to this. So refer back to this video. Email me if you have any questions, and good luck.